this process is like this big lung, this process of where your inspiration comes from and how it gets churned and how it goes back out. It's like this big breathing lung. And that's what we are. This is what we are as artists. We are literally commentators on the human condition. So everybody's always talking about this inner voice, like the creative inner voice. And how do I get back in touch with it? Blah, blah, blah. Where something I learned a long time ago about myself, and it was really through observing how I got stimulated. And I know it depends on your typology, your nature, as to, extroversion, introversion, all that, but we still are nothing. No man is an island. I quote it ad infinitum, the Thomas Merton point. So we're collective creatures. And even though some of us like to spend a lot of time alone, including me, I just love my own company, I still need to be able to communicate with the outside world, whether that's through direct contact with people or even direct contact with things in the outside world, like nature, a city, whatever it is. If you have a constant, again, this comes down to your particular personality nature, is that if you have a constantly similar environment, it's the same, it's been that way for 50 years or something, it's possible that you are going to run out of stimulation, external stimulation, if your nature as an artist, and not every artist is like this, is fed through external information, through like the idea factory. And the artists that are far more creative and have, I believe, more problems with this are the ones that are more intuitive, and especially extroverted intuitive, which means that they have that function. You can still be an introvert and have that. And the reason that is a problem is that we come across as these people who are a little bit like ADHD, and all other things we're told is you're addicted to change. Why can't you set up? Look at you, you're running off on all these tangents. Anyone here relate to that? And we even start to feel guilty about this constant, oh, look, there's a new thing. Look, oh, I want to do this. We love everything. We're excited about everything. Everything turns itself into a creative opportunity. We can't help it. Even bad things. It's just how we roll. And a lot of people with this tendency do sort of move into being artists, because art gives you this kind of excuse to hide behind, oh, I'm a creative person. So not all of this type of personality is an artist. Some of them are, as in a visual artist, some are writers, and some are creative directors, some are marketing, all sorts of stuff. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole particularly, but what I want to talk about really is the creative process itself and where we actually get this inspiration from. And I'm just going to fly past on the surface of this topic because it can go on and on. But to me, it's really coming down to something quite simple, that creativity, or the expression of it for artists, is really a form of alchemy. The process involves like outside elements and the processing of those elements through, the inside work. And then there's a third part which is when you spit it out the other end. You put the ingredients in from the outside, you mix them around inside that little test tube, and combine that with your feelings, your past, your history, your hopes and dreams, your distastes, all complexes, all the things that make you who you are. They mix up in this big pot. Oh, and your upbringing, the nature versus nurture, both matter. And your beef hates all those things, and you mix it all up. And the thing that pops out the other end is generally a concoction, like, a really exciting minestrone. And that thing at the other end, the piece of art, if you like, isn't necessarily going to be just that either, because for people that are highly intuitive and highly creative, they then take that process a step further. So they put it out. So they go, in, stir around, out she goes. And then something else happens. And I think all artists know about this, is that we get it out, we put it there, and then it starts again. It's just this eternal factory of churning. So we look at that thing and we go, that's awful, of, I like that piece. And look at that. Oh, I went off track on that one. And then in it goes, back in again. So already we've put it out there. It's like this, it's like a sausage machine. And then it goes back in again. We process it. We hate ourselves. We love ourselves. And then it comes back out again. Oh, and then what happens is someone walks in the studio and goes, oh, I love that. And you go, oh, and so that changes what we're thinking. Or they go, I hate that. And you go, oh, get out. And so, it goes on. And that's where I find that any attempt to try and pigeonhole this creative process that makes up the artistic life is a joke. It's just nonsense. We're nothing without all of these outside factors. And of course, some of us who are extroverted rely on them more heavily than others to influence our work, and others who are more introverted or introspective might spend a lot more time on that inner process. But one thing I can say about that, and this is only me speaking from my perspective, and, if you know typology, I'm an ENFP, so we're like the sparkle people of the world. But, it's like the ideas are like, everywhere. And so it's really hard for us to actually get focused. And we're often, given labels because we are quite scattered. So the thing about this for me is that because I'm an extroverted intuitive, the way I work with my subjects is, and this has made me more renowned as a narrative artist, is that my material is global. And that is the tendency for those with the dominant extroverted intuition. They don't tend to be so internal on the way they create their responses. So you'll see in my work, you'll see global topics. You'll see, my stories are global, like, whether it was the Gilgamesh or there's political paintings, things I've got in my studio right now. I'll just throw a couple of things up. It's not so much political as about the human condition, because it's even bigger than politics is just like, oh my God, it's just a bunch of corrupt mugs. But it's looking at it from a bigger point, getting right over the top. And that's why I absolutely love the study of the origin of the spiritual processes, all the origin of the religion. So the religions themselves, to me, are just buckets or they're products that have been created out of the big human condition. But when you actually look further back and you become more objective about it, and you see mythology, it's all the same kind of thing. It's just beautiful, artistic humans creating these ways of other humans who are not so creative to be able to follow some sort of order of things. Anyway, without going further into that little topic, the main point I wanted to make is that this process is like this big lung, this process of where your inspiration comes from and how it gets churned and how it goes back out. It's like this big breathing lung. And that's what we are. This is what we are as artists. We are literally commentators on the human condition. And that's why it's so important for you to keep doing your work. Just trust whatever the process is that you use, and know that if you're a highly creative person, and you'll know that because you'll be a wriggler, and the more scattered and crazy you are, the more creative you are. And I'm telling you, that is absolutely true. So stay with me through these videos, because my intention of making this YouTube channel is not to make money. I've got enough of that. I've done very well with my work. My intention is to share what I've learned over many years, 35 years as an artist, with you, so that it might help you to become more flowy in your work. It might give you a better attitude towards yourself. It might empower you and make you get out there and do your business. Get out there and do your work with less doubts. There's enough banging on the head. There's enough judgment of artists and what they do, whatever that is. And that is actually what's stopping artists from really just tucking in and getting stuck into it. We've got a lot of proving to do. We've got a lot of work to do in this crappy, stuffed up world today that's being run by nothing but, it just feels like it's just being, I don't know, overcome by the Triffids or something, which all they're interested in is money or something. I'm not quite sure. Money, no, not even that, power. So let's show them who has the real power and get stuck into it. Thank you for coming and watching this video. Would you please subscribe and hit the notifications bell and give me a like, because that will encourage me to continue to behave really badly and bring you more content like this. Okay.